Welcome back to the Two Comma Club podcast. Today I'm joined by Storm Leroy. I'm really excited about this. He's a motivational speaker that loves to keep it real. So I'm really excited to dive into this and hear what you're all about, Storm. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling people kind of what it is that you can do to help or add value to what they have going on, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm Storm Leroy from Brooklyn, New York. My main claim to being known is took my job and I took that salary from my job and I turned that into a business and I left my job within 5 years. Your job is your first business partner. And once I understood that my job was paying me to leave work, my life changed and I was out of there in 5 years off of my salary.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about how it is that you managed to pull that off and ultimately get to where you're at today.
Yeah, the way I did that was through out of state real estate. My dad, who worked like grueling hard, many people who haven't heard the story, but my father used to be a day laborer. And he was one of those guys that you would see outside looking for work, sort of like you see your dudes at Home Depot and things of that nature. Back in the 70s, though, this was the time. And he was a very big guy, very stocky, strong guy. And they called him to work at this hospital in Brooklyn, New York, called Wood Hall Hospital, and he would help dig the ditches, like digging in ditches. They would backhoe it, and he would get in there and dig. So, like I said, this was in the 70s. And he would come home and have me take his boots off. And, it was me and it was 10 more of us as children and 10 brothers and sisters. But it was always me who would get the call, so I would duck and run and hide. I didn't want to take his muddy boots off. So one day I'm out with my brothers playing, and they bring him. I'm watching them carry my father home this day. So they carry him, they bring him home, sit him at the kitchen table, and I'm behind the doorway looking. So he calls me and has me come over and take his boots off again. So I'm taking these boots off. So he says to me, "Do you know why I have you take my boots off?" So it's sort of like an origin story to a superhero. Like I'm
Yeah.
finally have the meaning to why I'm taking this man boots off. I'm like 7, 8 years old. So I'm taking his boots off. He says this. I look up at him and go, "No, tell me why." He says, "Because I don't ever want to see you going through what I'm going through." Now, the
Wow.
interpretation, when you have someone that works hard, especially a parent, they're teaching you the value of hard work. He was
Hmm.
actually teaching me the opposite. Hard work breaks your body down. Hard work builds the experience of you working hard for someone else and not for yourself. So, with that knowledge, I took that. And once I got older, it really manifests when I started working for someone, for Verizon. And I got hurt at work and I was laid up and I said, wow, this is what my dad meant. So I wanted to do something which was buy real estate, something that he couldn't do in the 70s due to buying houses in the city. The Fair Housing Act of 1968, which was signed, I think, around that time, still didn't allow people, minorities, to buy the homes in their neighborhood. Banks wasn't lending money. You couldn't buy. Like it was impossible. So I understood when I rented, I needed to buy some real estate. So I bought my first brownstone in Brooklyn in 1999. And it changed my life with understanding two key facets that I don't want to go over people's head. Real estate generates great income that you don't have to touch. And the other one, which is an eye opener, that I created another job for myself. What what real estate investors don't tell you is the stories about being a landlord. It's one of the most horrific things on the planet Earth. And when I became a landlord, I said, I don't want to do this. And I had somebody telling me what to do, when to come fix this, when it was going to pay me. So I actually stopped buying real estate. But when I went back to work, I realized I was making money through the tenants that I didn't have to get up for, making money through the job that I had to go hustle for. So I learned about out of state real estate with a management company, bought that first property in Indianapolis in 2015, 10 years ago. That's what helped me get out the door, not that brownstone in Brooklyn, New York. Changed my life.
Nice. That's really amazing. I love that. Highlighting one of the biggest problems that I see that entrepreneurs of all kind and investors of all kind run into is the issue of I'll call it like fulfillment, right? So the idea being that when you go and you sell something or you acquire an asset or something of that nature, there's so much time that you have to spend actually being involved in the process. But finding something that is low fulfillment gives you the most leverage and the opportunity to like really crush it in the game. So that pain point that you experienced with that first property, I totally resonate with that and understand it. And it ultimately led you to that next venture there. So once you got to that point, how did you keep going from there? Were you just leveraging your income to keep investing into more properties, or what happened?
Well, once I bought that first property in Indianapolis, and I said, man, I don't have to do anything, deal with any tenants. I said, I can do this again. I took $4,000. I bought a property. I bought a property for $40,000. So literally, it was, wait, I only need this much down payment and I could buy this property. And it was Section 8. So Section 8 was paying $500 a month. My mortgage payment was about 230. So I was making that income. And I said, well, if you're able to have guaranteed rent come in, tenant don't have to pay you, why don't you just keep doing this process? So I took more money, found more properties in Indianapolis, found the property management company, which was key. Section 8 property, rent was coming in consistently. I didn't have to do anything. So that was one thing I learned, that the government was never late on rent. I didn't have to deal with any headaches. Tenants paying me when they want. They paid me on time. They paid me on time. So I went from Indianapolis. From there, I went into my savings account. I went and took more of my money. I actually got partners and said, listen, this is how this thing can grow. Buying properties out of state, buying properties, because in New York, properties 400, 500, 600, $800,000. Like the prices are nuts here. But these properties were nothing. 20, 30, 40, 50,000. So now once I went and bought more properties for this low down payment, found the property management company, all were Section 8. I didn't want to deal with anybody paying me rent. I started watching the residual incomes coming in. And more importantly, I learned the power of taxes, being able to write off real estate as a depreciation, get that money back in, how to like just the wash, rinse, repeat. That's all it was. So I was buying properties and also building a network. This is something I cannot stress more. Building a out of state network, like when I first started, was bigger pockets. There was a bunch of investors there, things of that nature. So we started talking about these out of states. I went in there, met people, and we started talking about Alabama, how a Amazon warehouse was going to open up in Birmingham. So we went in Birmingham. I bought 15 properties, about 15 properties in Birmingham based on the warehouse coming. So we started literally, actually met my first mentor in Bigger Pockets. And to this day, great guy. I never met him to this day. We never met. He mentored me online. We talked online. We had a relationship online over the phone, seeing each other's face, but physically never met. And that's the power of social media and the internet back then. But one thing I want to reiterate, not even well, I want to start and add this into this story. What I done cannot be duplicated. Like what I'd done buying $40,000 properties that didn't need any repairs. The roof was there, the floor was there, Section 8 paying. Like those $40,000 properties I've been selling for 140, $200,000, $60,000 properties. I bought properties in Milwaukee, Alabama, Cleveland, Georgia, Florida, a couple other states that I'm probably missing. But this is when this was possible. Like now there's different levels of investing. So when I tell my story, I don't want people to say, think, wow, I'm going to run out and do what he did. No, that market is closed. The housing market is different now. You can build wealth in real estate, but it's different. It's no different than when people would go out many years ago with the gold rush. They went and got a pick. They went and found some dirt. They was digging with the pick and they found gold. You can't do that now. It's just like when people was going out finding land and digging for oil. You can't do that now. Jerry Jones bought several lots of land and he dug for oil. He didn't build real estate. Look into the story of Jerry Jones. This is how he bought the Dallas Cowboys. Now, tell me where you can go buy you some lots of land and start digging for oil, and it's okay. The government steps in. And just like real estate, which was, I said was, one of the most powerful wealth builders in the world for people to buy real estate as an asset, doesn't exist anymore. You cannot go out there and just buy 20, 30 homes, sit back and collect rent and build wealth. You can't do what I've done. The corporations understand the power of real estate. This is why BlackRock, Vanguard has been buying single family homes throughout the United States, all over the United States, buying at an alarming rate. And they've been paying top dollar because they understood if we can push you out because you've been making consistent money with rent, you've been taking the equity, buying more real estate, starting businesses, putting children through school, how can we suppress that? So let us buy all of this real estate. Let us drive the prices up. Now we force them to be stuck with these properties they have because a lot of people bought properties at 2% and 4% interest rates. And when that did happen, I put a post out and said, please, you, your husband, your children, your grandmother, mother-in-law, buy many properties you can, but because this is a trap. It's a trap because you got to think about this. I want you to do the numbers. Anybody, I love for people to do research. You had almost 20 million people buy or refinance property when the rates was 2 and 4%. Now, those people cannot refinance because the rates are too high. So now they're stuck with real estate with equity trapped in the house. And now they're completely pushed out of the housing market because they can't buy again. All their money is trapped, equity trapped. Everything is locked in there. So now they get the run up, they get the run of the bull market and buy up all the real estate. And why are they buying real estate? It's not to become a landlord to me and you. Reason why these corporations are buying real estate because they understand millions of people will be laid off. Millions of people will need housing. The government will create a new type of program, something like a UBI program, which Andrew Yang ran under to give you money to pay you because you can't find a job. They will pay your rent. And when the government sends out the alarm bell, we need 200,000 houses. Guess who's going to come running? BlackRock or Vanguard with guaranteed rent paying. I want you to do a survey. Every time you ride around, you see these big buildings going up and houses being built. They're saying on the side for lease. They're not saying for ownership. What they're doing is they're teaching the next generation to become forever renters. It's a different game now. So I know I went on a tangent there and we'll touch
Hey, I
more.
love
I
that.
had to get that out.
Yeah, everything you said there. I mean, pure gold. First and foremost, I want to thank you for your transparency about the reality of how that opportunity has come and passed. Like a lot of people that we've had on this podcast, they come through and they talk about how they did it, but they don't highlight that exact example of like the gold mine that you talked about, right? Like it's come and it's
Yeah.
gone. And it's like it worked, but it worked at that time. Now there are new opportunities today. Maybe we can get into some of those, but understanding all of those other things that you brought up too is really important, especially when we talk about the idea of like how AI is being introduced to the market and things of that nature. Jobs are, in my opinion, most of them are beginning to become obsolete, but new ones will be created in the process. But there's going to be that moment of that curve that you're talking about. So there's a lot of gold that I can tell that you've researched and things that you're dropping here. So this is going to be fun. I'm pumped. This is going to be great.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for allowing me to be me. Continue.
yeah. Thanks for dropping the knowledge. So, one of the questions I have is like, okay, so you got into the real estate space. You obviously crushed it in that. And then, tell me more about where it is that you're at today and how you're helping people today. If you want to save time on watching all the episodes, but still get all the gold nuggets that we find from interviewing these 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs, then you can get all of that inside of the 2 Comma Club newsletter. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com and subscribe.
Yeah, my community, which I have several hundred people in my community, and we started off with real estate. But the key thing when I saw this coming, I created a group evolving around group economics because the price of real estate was coming unaffordable. So my thing was get into the group. I want to teach you everything about how to create group economics, not just for the group, but also for your family. My goal was teaching people paperwork, how to learn how to do the right LLCs, how to set up the right holding companies, how to set up the right property management and management companies, how to set up the right documents on how to create partnerships, how to do these things because you're going to need to be able to partner to be able to buy real estate. There's no more one salary going out to buy a house. It ain't happening. Like, stop. And I don't want you to sit there trying to save and save and say, well, when I get enough money, I'm going to do this. No, you have to learn to do something else. So now what I'm doing is teaching people inside my community other facets of building wealth. For me, real estate, if you want to make money in that, you got to get into 4 units or greater. Stay away from single families. I would not buy a duplex unless that 1 unit is covering the mortgage and the other unit will be paying rent. But who's the renter? I need you to stay away from these type of renters for the future. I have 43 properties. I'm down to my last four, selling them all. The reason why, because when you have tenants whose jobs revolve around what AI is taking over, you have the Uber drivers, you have the clerks, you have the cashiers, you have the people who work in Amazon, who's working factory, who's working a warehouse. Like those jobs are going to be gone. If this is your mostly your tenant base, I want you to start preparing for them to lose their job and what you're going to do. You're not going to be able to kick them out. COVID proved that the government will work with the tenants to stay in place, not pay you rent, but you will have to pay mortgage. So, my direction, if people talking about real estate, 4 units and greater, with people in who jobs are state, city, federal, or government. Those are going to be more expensive properties to buy, but you will be covered better. Stop buying low value property. Stop buying these C class, these bad areas, these properties that, no roof, no basement, tax liens, like, and think you found gold. One thing I like to tell people is you found the property, you didn't strike gold. You just got in this game. Don't you think other investors saw it and said, it's not worth my money? You found it because somebody offered it to you, but there's the lack of education you have on the future of what that property can do. You see right now. And the biggest problem we do is put a lot of faith in people to get the contractor together, to do the foundation, do the roof. Then they want to rent it. Then they hear about I'm only paying 10,000. ARV is 180,000. It's going to cost me 100,000 to fix. But you're trusting a contractor. You're trusting the math. You're trusting that it's going to be done on time. And more importantly, you're trusting that the market is going to be there for you to sell this thing in this area where those people with those jobs cannot afford to buy. Most likely they will be renters. And now you're trapped with this person as a renter with a job that's in jeopardy. So I would tell people 4 units, apartment buildings, 8 unit, 11 unit, 12 units, like go in that direction. And if you don't want to go in that direction with real estate, I recommend everybody within the sound of my voice learn how to trade. Please. The value of learning how to trade will change your life. Jobs. I don't care how many people they force back to work. Commercial real estate is dying. The commercial, like office buildings, those people who rent these offices, they don't need them. They get more productivity from people who are home because those who are working from home will get up earlier because they got to get the kids ready. They got to feed them. They got to get them out to school. So now they're getting up earlier to do the work, get the kids out. Now they're working on your hours. Now when the kids come home, they put the kids to bed. Now they're going to do some extra work for free overtime because they know tomorrow the kids are going to get up again. Doesn't make sense. So look into that field of learning how to trade and make money from home, and also look into international. I've been buying real estate in different countries. I just had my property finished in Thailand. I'm looking in the coast of Africa. I'm also in Bali getting ready to have a property done. Dominican Republic. You have to understand there's a total of 5 million people who live outside the United States. I need you people to like look at how many absentee ballots come in from the Department of, I think it's the State Department, and understand that these absentee ballots are not just military. These are people who live abroad and not coming back. These are millions of votes, which are millions of people. They're leaving. Retirees, the people who are the baby boomers, they can't live off of their salaries here. Costa Rica just had the largest influx of retirees just moved there. Their property values through the roof. Dominican Republic, same. Thailand, the same. Just do a little research. You're going to find people are leaving at the alarming rate, but the United States did a great job with marketing advertisement by telling you there's no better place to be. Everything is here. You can afford it all. You can have it all. And actually is a myth. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to keep you on a program for the rest of your life, rent, feed you, clothe you, and lock you in. So I
Yeah.
hope I answered that question though.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, wow. I love financial literacy and everything that has to do with that, and everything that you just hit on is better explained than I've heard most talk about. And I'm honestly just floored right now. So first and foremost, thank you for putting in the work to learn these things and to be able to communicate this, and again for your time for being here. Um,
Yeah.
One of the things that I got a finance degree when I was in college, and one of the things that I wrote a paper on that I'll never forget, and it really it really got me thinking about the future of our country and everything. It was the topic of hyperinflation, right? And
Mm.
so it's like it's more than just regular inflation. It's like when it hits that curve where all of a sudden it's exponential, right? And based on everything you're talking about there, I think we're right at the bottom of that upturn, right? Like, and that's exactly what's going to happen, especially when we look at how much money was just printed during like COVID and everything else, and then with the introduction of AI and how the cost of living is already so high. One of the dynamics that my girlfriend and I talk about a lot right now is how the relationship between men and women has changed as a result of inflation because of the fact that we can no longer afford a house just from one household income. We now have to have two. And that is now affecting things in a significant way. But it's getting worse than that because even two household incomes are now becoming challenged in that capacity. And now it's like people have to learn the online space and other things like trading, real estate, investing, et cetera. But they have to have had, the savings to get into that. So, yeah, there's a lot we could cover on this. So, with that said, I'd love to hear
I
about
gotta.
how
I
it
want.
is.
I
Yeah,
want to go into something before we get past it, because I don't think people really understood the magnitude of what you said, because you gave it so eloquently and you shot past it. The relationship dynamic is changing. People are forced to be in relationships longer and with people they don't want to, just for housing, just to live under a roof with someone. Like, people will be in misery with this person because they can't afford to go nowhere. You have to understand the dynamics of that. Understand the dynamics of a child who live with their parents. I was fortunate to be able to move out, get my own apartment, to experience what it's like to have my own apartment, to make the decision I don't want to rent anymore, to be able to get a mortgage and buy. This generation now, I feel sorry for this generation because they're going from their parents' house, literally being kicked out because it's time for them to go, to move into a place with 5 and 6 roommates, never understanding what it's like to have your own. That is the mindset. And then they're getting in that relationship and going, I'm dating this girl. I met someone. I met this guy. You know what? We're going to get a place together. And they're doing this based on finances. Wow.
yeah.
Man, continue.
So yeah, there's a lot to be said about it, and to go back to your story and the real estate and the transition to trading. What's funny is I actually started out as a trader, and then I got into the internet marketing space. And my co-host, who unfortunately couldn't make it today, but I'll connect you guys. He's also a real estate investor, and he originally started in trading and then moved it to real estate. And so, hearing the things that you've talked about and the way that you've explained it, where there are all of these different intricacies about how what is to come is going to change the security of what investing in real estate used to be, right? And so I just want to understand, how you went about that transition and learned about trading in the first place as a good substitute for real estate.
Wow. Once I understood with COVID, I've never lost money in real estate from the time I was in it since 1999. And then when I went in out of state, always had great years making great money. Then when COVID came along, what we thought was landlord friendly states and we were protected weren't. And it wasn't so much the courts not being able to evict people. The courts, yeah, landlord friendly state, they're evicted in 6 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 days in some states. But it was the fact that those eviction notices need to be carried out by the sheriff department. The sheriff department might have had 4 people. Alabama had like 2 people to cover a county. So that was the backup. Not being able to evict these people and give them the notice. Oh, they were evicted, but the notice never make it. So now we're sitting there as owners and we're going, when are they going to get out? They're evicted. Well, I can't get the notice over there. And now the tenants, they form these online blogs, online chat rooms talking about these things. Oh, don't worry about it because there's not enough sheriffs to serve the notice, so you don't have to pay rent. And when they do come, find you another place, make the first down payment for the month, and don't worry, you'll be in there for a year because it's backed up, minimum 8 months. There was a story about a lady in LA who rented this guy's mansion for $13,000 a month. She did COVID came along. She had money, but she played the game. She stopped paying him rent. He took her to court. Courts were backed up. She stayed in his mansion for over a year due to COVID. So once I realized I lost over $100,000 playing this game, and it wasn't just for rents, it was after the tenants were evicted, going back in, turning over the places, getting them back ready to rent, going back in, fixing them up, getting them back. And I said, I need to prepare, because if technology is going to come along and get rid of these jobs from these people, and technology would be a substitute what COVID did, and is going to wipe out, COVID wiped out a lot of jobs. Technology is going to wipe out jobs. I need to get away from this market. I need to get away from this space. There's a reason why big corporations are now wanting to get in my space. Why is that? You have to start looking and analyzing. When something's going so good and now the big guys want to come in and buy it out and get involved, they want you out, first of all, but they have a bigger picture. And I tell people, you can't fight and beat them. No matter how much, we're going to stick around, we're going to protest, we're not going to give them this. Yeah, no, you're not going to win. So once I understood that dynamic, I said, storm sell. Get rid of these properties, take that money, reinvest it in something else. But what do I want to do? I bought an 11 unit in Long Beach, California, but I said, I don't want to be in real estate like that. I said, there's faster and easier money to make now that technology is here. You watch companies go from billion to $1 trillion companies in a matter of months. You watch the stock market do these numbers. It's been on the longest bull run ever. And I want you guys to think about why. It isn't just because of the technology aspect, which is a big part. But when a company starts laying people off and firing them, that salary, that money now goes on the books of the company, making this company jump. We've seen many companies whose earnings or numbers might not come in, and then they do layoffs. All of a sudden, numbers go up. Imagine that on a bigger scale. So I said, Storm, you have to learn this market. You have to learn to trade this market, especially once crypto came into play. I've always been into Bitcoin. I've owned XRP and things of that nature for many years. But I said to myself, where are people making a lot of money? We've all seen the movie Wall Street, Margin Call, things of that nature. Those who haven't watched those movies. And you have to say to yourself, man, this thing has been there right in front of my face all these times, these people making millions of dollars in bonuses, but it's never been taught to me. It's never been something that's been there to educate me. When social media came along, then we were able to learn about real estate, trading, options, crypto. The cat was out the bag now. But we have to learn to stop thinking every way you make money is physical. Just because you need a hole dug with a shovel, don't mean you have to be the one to pick up the shovel. There's always a market in everything that needs to be done. You just have to stop being the one to want to do it. Trading, so I made a call to a couple of friends of mine in my space, and I said, I want to learn about trading. Really? Once I get into something, I don't stop. I get addicted. So once I start learning it, started watching about, here's the great thing, and I want to mention and I'm gonna give you back the floor. I started learning about support and resistance trading, which is retail trading. But once I learned about supply and demand, which is institutional trading, oh my Lord, my brain said, there's two different levels. Just because you know how to trade, support, resistance, and you make money, they're not trading the same way on Wall Street. They're trading supply, demand, liquidity. They doing things where you can make money, but they're making more money. And now I learned that. Like today, I just kept riding Tesla in between its range 5 times today. $8, $8, $10, $10, $5. Just supply and demand. So guys, trust me, go down that rabbit hole and imagine a day. Imagine a day when you can no longer get up and physically go to work anymore. How would you make money? Trading would be that thing to help you make money.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of the most under spoken about easy ways to make money. Like when I think about the easiest money that I have ever made in my entire life to date, trading is the easiest example. Like I remember there was a day where I just wanted to like document how easily you can just basically print money, right? And so what I did was I pulled up a screen recorder on my phone, and I was using a Robinhood that day, and so I jumped into a stock option and then set a limit price to just sell it like two ticks above where it was, and then just like submitted the order. And the next thing you know, there's money in my account that I just generated. And depending on how much you put in there, gives you leverage to make more, right? Because if you have like $1,000 invested and you make 10%, you're going to make about $100, right? But at the same token, if you do the exact same trade with $100,000, you're going to make 10 grand in that same time window. And so there's a lot of leverage that can be used in there for doing that. And to piggy it back off of, you mentioned a few trading strategies. One of my favorites is cost averaging, and that one I made, I mean, just a killing percentage wise when I was younger. Just phenomenal stuff. So is that something that you currently teach in your programs and stuff? Is trading now, or what is it
Wow,
that you
that's a
do?
great question. What I did was actually, got the gentleman who taught me, and I worked it out with him where he comes teach my community once a month. But those who want to sign up for his program, they sign up and they go to his class once a week. But I made sure, and I told my real estate community, I said, I'd be doing a disservice if I'm going out here learning all these other ways to make money and I'm not teaching you. I said, I cannot be fake. I cannot lie to you. I have to be genuine and tell you real estate ain't where it's at no more. It's not this way. And this is how I'm doing it. This is why I'm selling. This is why it is. And I need you. So when I brought them in, my community now, they're in love with learning because I have also a crypto guy come in. Marketing Guru is his name. One of the most smartest guys who understand the purpose of the coins and the blockchains, not just the Bitcoins, not just XRP, V-Chain, Jasmine, like why these things are needed, who's using them, why Visa, why Bank of America, how come BMW just backed this company? Like he's deep. So I bring all these tools to my community, and now they're going, Storm, I never thought I would come to you to learn real estate. You're transforming the way I think about work, with money and trading and crypto and digital assets, and how life and how society is going to change as a whole. And they love it. Like they love it. And I mean this sincerely. Anybody who has a community in teaching, if you're teaching something that's about to be a relic, it's not even going to matter anymore. And all you care about is keeping the same people in your community, charging them a monthly fee over and over, and just keep on inviting them to events and keep on getting them. Like you're hurting them. You're doing a disservice. I preach all the time. Like when you outgrow my community, I want you to leave. I want you to go find the next one. Don't just stay here. This is like college. There's a certain amount of time I need you here. I don't need super seniors. When you got everything you need, go. Anybody who wants to keep you in their community and keep you locked down and teaching you the same thing is actually making a living off of you. You're helping them survive. But are they changing your life, your mindset? And if you one of them people who just constantly go into every event, constantly going from community to community, meeting the same people, and all of y'all, and you ain't do nothing with the information yet, you're hurting yourself. Like it's you have to now start engaging and doing the thing you're learning. People get confused because they feel like you paid money. Now because you gave somebody some money, your life needs to change. That's not how this game works at all. It doesn't work like that at all. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I made sure it's my business that I give people the knowledge and information and real hard talk that the world has changed and faster than you could ever imagine. Money
Yeah.
as you know it, real estate as you know it, television as you know it, like devices as you know it won't be the same. You won't be like phones will not be around for many more years. And you're going to be in this lifetime to witness driverless cars, which is happening with the ride shares with Waymo. And I'm like, it's not about you not getting in to use one of those cars. So somebody my age, we're like, oh, I'll never get in a car without a driver. It's not for us. It's for the future generations. They're going to use it. You need to start investing in what they're going to do. What's that going to look like? How many, when driving is taken away, truck drivers, Uber, ride shares, and all these companies are gone, I want you to think about one out of every four people with a job, drives for a living. 25%.
Man,
That's
that's
a big
wild.
number.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about the deal that Amazon just did. I think with Rivian to do their trucks. I want you to think about the Volkswagen deal that just went on with Rivian. I want you to look like UPS and FedEx been looking the same for many, many years. It has to change, and it's going to change in our lifetime.
Yeah, I know we can't exactly tell how long it's going to be, but at this rate, I don't think I would be surprised if it happened in the next decade or even as close as like 5 years. And that's
That was my number.
yeah,
5 years.
yeah,
Five. And the reason why I think 5 years because like Biden signed things into place to protect autonomous driving. This has nothing to do with me liking him or not. It's just bills. Signed things into place where banks, certain amount of banks needed to be open in every community with a certain amount of tellers. Now, the new administration is getting rid of all of those regulations that you need to have this many banks open with this many tellers. So now they're going to be gone. It also getting rid of the autonomous driving. You need to have this regulation for autonomous driving, and this state won't do. All these rules are going out the window. So you're going to see it 5 years, five
yeah,
years,
yeah, for
5
sure. It's such a wild concept too to think about. Not only that, but like how quickly AI is able to learn compared to us, right? And I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's something like every few months or something. Like its database of information doubles and it learns like twice as fast, and it's only going faster. So there's a lot to go in with this stuff, but I guess the compliment that I want to pay to you in this moment is that there's a lot of people who they see success and then they just want to hoard all the secrets and they want to be on the cutting edge of what changes and profit
years.
from that. And with you, you're like, oh, I see this bomb that's about to be dropped here in the next few years. And it's like, everybody in my community better be ready. Like, hey, everybody that I've helped do this, like understand, yeah, it worked for this time, but see that around the corner? You got to come adjust this way, right? And that's huge. Like I'm so grateful that there are individuals like yourself out there, Storm, that are doing that and leading the way on that and having those very real conversations. That's something that I'm 28, so my generation, like I got screwed over, dude, big time. So when I was coming out of college, I graduated with $110,000 in student loans, right? So imagine just you're 18, you go to school, you're told, oh, you're gonna have to get this degree so you can get a good job, and then you go out in the world, and all of a sudden it doesn't work out that way. You're not even told that taxes come out of your paycheck and stuff like that. I know it's not the craziest concept in the world, but you don't know that when you don't know that. And I remember coming out of it and being like, oh, like, if I'm making 50,000 a year, it's not going to be a big deal. If I live at home rent free and all this, I'm going to be able to pay it off in 2 years or whatever. And then you find out after taxes, you're only taking home like 35,000. It's like, well, it doesn't really work that way. You want to go on vacations, you want to travel, you want to get engaged, all this stuff. And then you find out that like the job world itself isn't even as secure as you want. Like I remember the first year that I was employed, I watched coworkers of mine that had been there for like 3, 4 years or whatever get let go just like that. And when I was younger, I saw it happen to my parents too. So people have to adapt, and I think that's my biggest takeaway that I would highlight right now. So, in addition to adapting by trading, what other methods are you currently utilizing to set you and your family and your community up for success financially in the future?
By realizing that United States may not be the best place for you to live. The realization of that, like I need everyone to understand. Just because you was born and raised here doesn't mean you have to grow old and die here. The money that you make, for example, from trading, let's say you make $1,000 in a day or in a week. Here it's $1,000, but somewhere like Costa Rica, it could be $5,000. In Thailand, that's $50,000. There are people who live very well off of making money, American money, but spending it and living there. And I wanted you to think about the retirees also, like healthcare. Don't think we have the best healthcare here. There are people who go to Turkey. There are people who go to Thailand and get full head to toe exams for a couple of $100 with a hotel, with a chef, with a night stay. Great. And it's a reason why I tell you, United States did the best marketing. So for me, for my family, and I'm an older guy, I have grandchildren. My goal is to let them see the world, not just leave your neighborhood and come to my neighborhood and spend time with your pops. Like, no, we're gonna get on a plane. You're gonna come over here. You're gonna see what it's like in another country. You're going to see how much land I own, this real estate in this country, how it is to always eat healthy, eat fresh. When I went around, I took a 32-day trip. I went from Costa Rica, Thailand, Philippines, and wow, why am I forgetting some of the places I went? And I went to Jakarta. I went to Cayman Islands. Like I went everywhere, scouring, buying, relationships, the dollar value, the medical system. I need people when you travel, don't go there and lay out on the beach for your entire trip. I want you to go there and say to yourself, can I live here? What is it like? Let me find out what the cost of goods would be. Let me find out what internet costs, what rent costs, what light and gas would cost. Let me talk to other expats. Let me find out. There's something online. This young guy, he was in a gang in Memphis. And he did a post. He has millions of followers now. And then I stumbled across his post. He said, hey, I got to do the accent. I don't know why. It just comes to my brain.
No worries.
He's like, hey, man, I was out here in Memphis. My friends were all gangbangers. Most of them dead. I said, I got to get out of here. I took me a trip to Thailand, man, walked around, and I realized something. I ain't never going back. He been living in Thailand for almost a year. Got him an online job, great place to live, his safety, his life, food, eating healthy. All he does is post and talk about how leaving the United States saved his life.
Wow.
Like, you have to start thinking about that. Everybody with a job, think about when your job is gone, not if, when. Can you survive? Can you survive off unemployment? Nope. Can you survive off of Social Security? No. Can you survive off pensions? No, you won't be able to survive. What is your plan? If you're not considering finding another location to live, like I can't give you no advice on how to live here because everything is going to be overpriced. It's going to continuously water, electric, gas, internet, the cost of goods, foods, like the trade wars that's going on. It's just like all of this is you will not be able to survive here, no matter. And here's the Achilles heel of Americans. We addicted to hope, the drug called hope. We see other multimillionaires and billionaires, and we think that one day we're going to wake up and become one of them. The odds of you doing that is slimmer than a college kid playing college basketball going to the NBA. Your odds are slimmer than his. At least he has a shot. You have a job and now you say, I'm going to start this business and my business is going to make millions of dollars. Your business don't need to make millions of dollars. Your business just need to make you a substantial amount of money for you to be able to live somewhere else and live off of that money. Like, live off of that money. If you want to stay here, God bless you. God bless you. But if you're not watching the news and I'm not talking your local news, I'm talking about watching some CNBC, watch you some CNN International, watch you some Al Jazeera, watch you some news that's financial. Let it break down to you how good the economy is. And then I want you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, good for who? Not for me. The largest group of people that's happening in America, it isn't a race. It's a financial group. Billionaires. You have 500 billionaires 5 years ago. Now you have 250. You have 2,500 billionaires. 2,500 new billionaires from 500 5 years ago. That's the fastest growing rate of people. Not Hispanic, not blacks, not whites, no, billionaires. And now they're running the financial market. What makes you think you're going to be able to withstand what they're doing to help them build? They're doing things to help them build wealth. You will just be a worker and a cog in the wheel. Coding, forget about it. Computers are coding for other computers. Robots are building other robots. Houses are starting to be built by computers. Like, think about it, appraisals. The blockchain will be one of the most important things the world will need. Document, verification, identification. Learn the blockchain, learn to invest in the blockchain, not just crypto. Like, you know how pointless money would be if we couldn't exchange it between each other? Imagine if there was no Zelle, no Cash App, no Venmo, no wire transfer. Money would mean nothing. Think the same way with crypto. Crypto would mean nothing if we're not able to transfer it to each other. What is the vehicle? Invest in the vehicle, not just the asset. All right, my
Amen.
brother.
You're good. That was awesome. I couldn't agree more. And there are some things to be said about that too. Like talking about how AI is going to change things. We're already seeing videos that are surfacing right now that allow for like deep fakes and things of that nature, and people who are succumbing to scams because they see a video of somebody that they've come to know, like, and trust, but it's actually not them because of the power of AI putting words in their mouth. Um, I don't know how much you're aware of this. I have very limited knowledge on this, so I just want to preface it with that. But I believe that part of the blockchain and cryptocurrency world that is going to become very pertinent as we get more and more involved with how AI is changing the world of content and media and everything is with NFTs. Because I believe, if I understand correctly, NFTs have the ability to give you like a verified e-signature for content and things of that nature, so that way you can put it out there and say, hey, like, this actually was me. Here's my individualized code that proves that it was me. Is that something that you're familiar with at all, or know anything about
Yeah,
to speak on?
very little, because like I said, I have a crypto guy who teaches me all of these and talks to my class about this. And you're 100% right. Like Louis Vuitton, I think, is the first company to have an NFT, like a badge, a chip, so you can scan products to make sure they're not fake. They come with these codes. So you're 1,000% right. Same things happening with, I think YouTube is launching something like that now, where if you try to use somebody's material or remake it or remix it, there's a code or something generated that will let it know that you altered this material. So it's going to be the same. You're 1,000% right. Social media, in my opinion, will not be, I only could say what's on my heart. Like, social media would not be a desired place to go through for valuable information in the future because of what's going on. Like, you won't know who to trust. You won't know what's real news. You won't know anything. There's going to be another layer to it that you're going to start having to entrust news outlets that are on these social media platforms, because we're not going to be watching TV. Let's just be real. So you're going to really have to start investing in what outlets you're watching and not the person anymore, because it's becoming a risk trying to validate who's saying who's. I'm seeing some deepfakes now.
Yeah, yeah,
I cannot believe it. I'm like, what? This is AI generating this? Scary.
it is.
Scary.
It's crazy what all is happening and how quickly it's happening, and there's so much of a learning curve to it too, and that's what makes it the most wild, because it's like, it's not like all of a sudden this one physical product shows up and now you have to be aware, like how crazy it was when cars all of a sudden became a thing. Now it's like there's already 8 different variations of how deep this AI has gotten and all these different applications, and it's wild. So I think the biggest takeaway that we could talk about from today's episode is being a lifelong learner, and things of that nature, and staying involved in that capacity. So for anybody who's listening, how can they get involved in what you have going on in your community so they can stay in tune and be that lifelong learner?
Yeah, definitely. My Instagram is I am Storm Leroy, or just Google Storm Leroy. My community is Millionaire Magnets, so you could find me there. I've literally made my community starter level for free. My community I used to charge people, but now I realize that I made enough money. Like, there comes a certain point when all of us who made money during this run of the influencer and all that, is like, how many millions could you make before you realize you got to start giving people the information or give them the opportunity? When you going to realize that people have been taken advantage of and lost hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to other people who lied to them, and now it's up to you to be able to say, well, I'm going to give you this information, I just need you to come in here and do the work. So my community is an open door. You can come in, listen to the calls. Like I said, I have crypto expert coming monthly. I have a trading expert coming monthly. I also have my trust attorney comes in once a month, talk about living trust, which everyone needs to have a trust. Everything you own needs to be in a trust. You need to have your digital accounts, your Google accounts. You need to have your crypto accounts. your 401ks, your life insurance policies. You need to understand that the build a legacy, which eventually you will understand how much that means when you start to have children and you start to have grandchildren. You will realize it's bigger than you. So my goal is to connect with as many people to give you guys as much information as I can. But the thing is, you must do the work, no slackers, and just reach out to me and let's get it done, man. But I appreciate definitely being here, and I hope somebody took something away from it. That also, remember, if you are interested in real estate, the main thing you need to own is the roof over your head. I don't care if it's a condo, I don't care if it's a co-op. Buy something and own it, or you will be renting for life and you'll be moving from place to place. You can't buy a bunch of single family homes and get rich again. That phase is over. But own the roof over your head at least.
Definitely. That was awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Storm. I'm really excited to get this episode out there. I think you dropped a ton of value, and this has been an absolute pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, man. I appreciate you.